If you've been watching my channel for a while, you may or may not know that I am a fan of the variety of roller coasters known as wacky worms. I even made a whole video about the history of it. And my fascination with this amazing contraption is not just about the extreme forces and interesting layouts, but the fact I have some of the most creative and unique train designs ever. I mean, yeah, most of them are just that goofy-ass caterpillar, but over the years I've come across some more interesting designs, which has inspired me to go on a quest to find the most weird and wacky worm ever. I mean, the default design itself embodies the wackiness of its name. But wait, if they're caterpillars, why are they called wacky worms and not wacky caterpillars? I guess it doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? Well, anyway, I have set myself a mission to find the wackiest worm of all. And the best part is, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a worm. It can be any design, any animal, or whatever else we might find. As long as it has the specific wacky worm stacked figure of 8 layout. And how will I find this mythical creature, you ask? Well, with a wonderful little tool called RCDB.com. And I'll be leaving no stone unturned, scouring through each and every listing to find the wacky worm. Although some of these entries don't have pictures, so if you know of any other, even more wacky worms, please do let me know. And there are over 900 coasters to look through here. Of course, I won't be talking about every single wacky worm, as much as I'd love to, but this video would be like 10 hours long then. But I'll be picking out some of the wackiest and most unique examples, and giving them a score on what I have coined the wacky scale, ranging from a 1, which is not wacky at all, to 10, which is the wackiest of wacky worms. And just for reference, the classic caterpillar design wouldn't be a 1 on the scale, I'd say it's about a 4, but I'll be comparing every other design to the default one. So without further ado, let's begin the search for the wackiest wacky worm. The first category I'll be looking at are the caterpillars. However, I'm not talking about that design. Some of the designs here are very cursed. Starting off, we have Erdbeer Rappenbahn, sorry if I said that wrong, in Germany. Well, I certainly didn't expect to see a strawberry-themed wacky worm, but it does make a lot of sense. After all, worms or caterpillars don't just like apples, you know. Variety is the spice of life. This park also appears to have a farm theme, so it also makes sense for them to have a fruity coaster. Anyway, this coaster features a giant 2-tier strawberry on the track and a classic wacky worm train painted red. But honestly, I think this would have worked better with a green caterpillar to add some contrast. I'm not sure I'd describe this as much more wacky than the original wacky worm, but because of this theming, it's quite unique, and I'm gonna give it a 5 on the wacky scale. Is this a caterpillar or an alien? Who knows? And why does he have a mustache? Who cares? It's unique and it's certainly wacky. I'll just have to give this one a 7 because it loses points for not being scary enough. Next up, we have a pretty interesting pirate-themed wacky worm, which is something I certainly never expected to see. The train itself has a wooden painted body, and the face has a little eye patch, which is so cool. Like, I love that they just kept the classic design and added a little theming to it. The track also has various pieces of theming, including a big barrel in place of the big apple, and some dynamite boxes. I think this one gets a 7 for wackiness. Next up is Gusanito, located at Play Park SJL in Peru. Okay, so this creature, I have no idea what it is supposed to be. It looks like what I'd describe as an extraterrestrial caterpillar. Also, is that a brain in its hands? I honestly thought this design was cute at first, but the longer I look at it, the more it creeps me out. This is definitely an 8. Oh, who do we have here? Why, it's Bronco Buster at Wild West World. I absolutely love this design. Look at his little cowboy hat. It's a creative design on the classic caterpillar, and its design was made to fit what I assume is the theme of the rest of the park. They even made his face flesh coloured. Like, what more could you ask for? This one gets an 8. This monstrosity is Le Petit Huit, Le Super Chenille at Anime Park Occitane in France, which thankfully closed in 2019. It has a very human-like face and kinda looks like someone, but I can't quite put my finger on who it is. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. Let's face it, this thing's pretty creepy, and it makes me very uncomfortable to look at. But it's kind of redeemed by the fact it's wearing a sombrero, which lightens the mood a little. This one gets an 8. Now we have another extra wacky worm. This is Worm Coaster, located at Sunaklan, Chengdu. Look at this cheeky little chappy sticking his tongue out. And he's wearing a beanie for some reason. This design is so unique, and there's even a detailed tail on the train. The train itself, excluding the face, is probably one of the most accurate representations of a caterpillar that I've seen. And yes, we have theming in the form of an apple and a watermelon slice with bites taken out of them. I actually love this coaster so much. It's so different and well themed and has the perfect amount of wackiness without being scary. I have to give this one a 9. Okay, before I show you the next one, I'd like to warn you that it's very, very scary. Like, I've been having nightmares about this thing since I've seen it. This was La Chenille, located at Magic Land, Senegal. I think this is the creepiest design I've seen so far. Like, why is his face skin coloured, but the rest of his body is caterpillar coloured? Did someone like transplant a human head onto a caterpillar? It kinda looks like Boris Johnson as well. The whole vibe of this coaster feels off, but I cannot deny its wackiness. I think this is a 9 on the wacky scale, but I'm also leaning towards 10, because why would they even make this thing? We'll say 9.5 for now. Thank goodness this thing was closed in 2007, that's all I can say. The next category we'll be looking at are dogs, which also seem to be a very popular design for wacky worms. In China, a common train design is this cute little corgi dog with his tongue sticking out. I do really like this train design, but all of the examples I've seen have had the most horrible shade of blue on the tracks, and minimal to no other theming at all, so it all feels a little soulless. Still, the dog is pretty wacky, but less so than the original classic caterpillar, so I'll give it a 3. Here's another dog design that seems to be quite common, and there are different variations with different coloured bandanas, but this one in particular stood out to me, Bassetto Bruco at Panda Park in Italy, which has sadly been SBNR since 2021. Maybe that's why she's crying. Also, the station of this coaster is painted with jungle-style artwork. Like, seriously, what does this have to do with a coaster? It's so inconsistent, I love it. I give this one a 5. Now we have another wacky dog variety, but this time it's a Dalmatian with funny little glasses and a little hat. This aptly named dog coaster is located at Family Park, Alicante, Spain. I absolutely love this design, I actually think it's so cute, and I'm also a fan of the disembodied dog head at the side of the track. This one gets a 7 on the wacky scale. The next category we'll be looking at are dragons. And when you think of a dragon wacky worm, you probably think of the classic design, which is not wacky at all, but it's cool nonetheless. Luckily, I've been able to find a couple of very unique dragon designs. This is Dragon Express at Star City in the Philippines, and it has to be one of the most immersively themed wacky worms ever, and even better themed than most coasters in Thorpe Park, to be honest. This is absolutely beautiful, and I'm definitely adding this to the bucket list. Also, is that the Roblox face on the sign? I'm gonna give this one a 5 because it's so unique and one of my favourite designs I've seen. But sadly, the train design itself is somewhat lacking in the wacky department. Now this guy, on the other hand, which was located at Leksand Summerland in Sweden, is the epitome of wacky. Look how goofy he is. I love the little tooth and his little bow tie, and he has some goggles on his head for some reason. I'm not actually sure if this is a dragon or a bird, or a hybrid of the two, but that doesn't matter. This one gets a 7 for wackiness. Now if only this train was on Dragon Express. Another common design for wacky worms, for some reason, is bees. First up, we have the Busy Bee Coaster at Dreamland Margate. Out of all the wacky bees I've seen, this is the one that most closely resembles what I think of when I think of a bee. But you can clearly see that it's just being painted over a classic wacky worm face, and it's actually kind of terrifying. Like, they could have made him a bit cuter, or maybe made his eyes a bit bigger. The way the eyes are just make him look like he's got terrible eye bags, and it's kind of creeping me out. I am a big fan of the beehive in the middle of the track though, so that gives it some extra points. And I definitely appreciate the effort to make this coaster a bit more unique. I mean, there's even a board with the backstory of the coaster, which is something I've never seen for a wacky worm. This one gets a 5. Next up, we have a very unique coaster named Baby Coaster located at Happy Valley in China. Honestly, the theming on this thing and the park in general looks absolutely incredible. I love the buildings around the coaster. It kind of looks like something I would have made on Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. But we're not here to talk about the buildings, are we? The train itself, I am assuming to be a bee, but I might be wrong. And look, there's even a face on the sign. That's actually so cute. I kinda love the name as well. Petition to change Oiblivion's name to Baby Coaster. I'm actually heartbroken to find out that I can never ride this thing as it closed in 2022. She will always be the one who got away. I'm gonna give this one a 7 on the wacky scale, because I actually really love this theming and the train design is quite unique from what I've seen so far. The final wacky bee we'll be looking at today is Abejuro at GameSpot San Salvador. Look at this thing. Why is it looking at me like that? I'm honestly so scared of this one. Apparently its name is Spanish for bumblebee, but when I think of bumblebees, I think of cute little fluffy guys, not whatever this is. Like, why is it giving me the side eye? I feel like I'm gonna have nightmares about this, and yet I want to ride it so bad. I'll give this an 8 for wackiness. The next category is other animals that I couldn't quite fit into any of the other categories. The first up is this shark design. But yeah, as far as I know, this one isn't so unique, and I'm honestly more interested in these clowns and also the Tom and Jerry artwork. This one gets a 2 for wackiness. Now here's a more unique design, Crocodile at Guven Luna Park, Turkey. As the name suggests, this design features a crocodile which also has its tongue sticking out. There's even some crocodile artwork on the platform. Wait a minute, you mean there's actually theming that matches the ride? Oh, don't worry, there's also some random artwork including Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, and some random fox. Sadly, this coaster has since been relocated and has been replaced with a classic, albeit colourful caterpillar design, which in my opinion is better than the crocodile design anyway. But I'll still give this a 4 for effort. Here's a cute one for you. Ocean Coaster at Harbour Park, Littlehampton. And this coaster has a clownfish train design. And I like the fact that the cars have different fish designs. This one is cute, but not the most wacky, so I'll give it a 5. Now we go back to China, to Fantawild Dino Kingdom, where we have a dinosaur-themed train. It also just happens to be called Dino Dash, so I guess we finally have a crossover between my two channels. This coaster's layout is also very unique, and looks a lot more thrilling than the traditional Wacky Worm. But again, the boring blue-coloured track. I really do like this train design, and I think it's really cute, and the name is wonderful. But at the same time, it lacks overall wackiness. So I'm going to give this one a 6. One animal I'm surprised to have not seen on a Wacky Worm this far is a bear, but that is about to change. This beautiful creature is Gilden Klo at Bjørnen Park and Wildlife Zoo in Norway. In my opinion, this train design has just the right amount of wackiness to appeal to its target audience while still being tasteful. Once again, this coaster has some absolutely lovely theming, and probably one of the best I've seen. Just look at those views. I want to visit this park so badly. I really like this one, but it's lacking overall wackiness, although the bear is wearing a backwards facing cap, so I'll give this one a 6. At last, I have found myself in Brazil, where we have the goofiest croc I've ever seen. This is Dum Dum at Beto Carrero World. There's not much to say about this coaster apart from why is he gooning? This is a pretty darn wacky design if you ask me, and I'm gonna give it a 7. Now we move on to one of the best themed wacky worms I've ever seen, and what is quickly becoming a bucket list coaster for me. Caterpillar Coaster at Wonderla Amusement Park in Kochi, India. I mean, look at this thing. It's set inside some sort of nest, the coaster supports are vines, and the train design is what I believe to be a termite, which would make sense with this impressive nest surrounding. The train itself is actually pretty scary. The half-closed eyes and the goofy teeth. Even the colour scheme is quite off-putting. While it may not be the wackiest of worms, I have to give it points for the impressive theming and uniqueness. I think this one gets an 8 on the wacky scale. So imagine this. You're given a classic mine train coaster train, but it's not quite screaming wacky to you. What would you do to jazz it up a bit? Paint it a fun colour? Put some nice western style theming on it? Nah mate, put an alien on it. Not just your classic alien though. A goofy ass alien that looks like this. Perfect. I have to admit, this guy is kind of adorable, but thinking in terms of practicality, this thing is gonna completely ruin the front row's view. Nevertheless, I appreciate the creativity and I'm a big fan of this coaster. I also can't help but wonder why there's a section of a train placed in the middle of the track. Is this supposed to be theming or did it fall off? Who knows? This has to be a 9 on the wacky scale. When you hear the word wacky, what does it make you think of? For me, one of the things I think of are clowns. So naturally, there are wacky worms themed to clowns. The first wacky clown we'll be looking at is Achterbahn, which is the German word for roller coaster. This one is located at Trampoline in Germany, which is a great name for a park. Now this train design I am a huge fan of. It's the classic caterpillar design but with an extra wacky twist. And it has little feet at the back of the train. I do think this design is really cool, and actually it's not terrifying at all. So I'm going to give this a 6 for wackiness, mostly because of the feet. Next up we have Circus Clown at Altın Park, Bursa, Turkey. And where the previous clowns still resembled a caterpillar, this one looks to be custom designed. I absolutely love the colours of the train, but I have to admit, his face is a little creepy. Like, I can definitely see some people having nightmares about this guy. Also, I'm not sure if this thing originally had teeth and they've cut them off or something, but his mouth definitely looks a bit odd. There's also like a drum on the track which the train goes through, and for some reason there's a teepee in the middle of the track. So this one gets extra points for inconsistent theming. Also, why are these guys with the big chin standing in front of the coaster? This one gets an 8. You know what the previous clown coasters were missing? Hyper-realistic ears, dizzy-looking eyes, and nostrils. And these are all things that Wildbassen has. This thing is honestly one of the most terrifying things I've seen in my life, but at the same time, it's gloriously goofy. I can't even hate it. Oh, and it has feet of course. You know what, I'm gonna have to give this one a 10. Now for the final category, which are miscellaneous wacky worms, which I couldn't really fit into any of the other categories, but do not fear, some of the weirdest ones are in this category. This one is Moonraker at Nico Park, India. The coaster has a giant astronomical themed sphere where the apple would normally go, and the train is themed to a magic carpet. What is the relation between the two, you ask? Who knows? But they both look pretty cool, wouldn't you agree? Still, it does lack a wacky mascot, so this one can only get a 3. Okay, I have to mention Cosmic Coaster at Worlds of Fun, Kansas City, don't I? When I first looked at this thing, I initially thought it was the Emperor Bulblax from Pikmin, and if we did have a Pikmin-themed wacky worm, I have no doubt that it would be my #1 coaster of all time. But I believe this is supposed to be related to Snoopy. And instead of a big apple, we have some sort of planet, and the train is a spaceship. It might not be a Pikmin coaster, but it's still pretty cool and unique, so I'm gonna give it a 5. Okay, so at first glance, I thought that this was a boring train design for a wacky worm, but then it dawned on me, is that a shoe? I mean, it has laces and everything. I can't really think of anything else it could be. Why would they make a shoe coaster? Okay, this one gets a 6 because it's kind of funny. How could we make a wacky worm more wacky and exciting? Oh, I know. Make it spin. This is Family Coaster at Viaport Asia Amusement Park in Turkey. And as you might expect, there are some rather wacky faces on the coaster trains. These are actually quite terrifying in my opinion, and while they do kind of resemble the classic caterpillar design, they have no antennae, so I'm not exactly sure what these are supposed to be. This coaster truly embodies the meaning of wacky, and while it might not be so unique, it's definitely up there with the wackiest designs, so I'm gonna give it an 8. And before I move on to what I believe is the wackiest wacky worm ever, I'd like to go through some honourable mentions because there are so many cool designs and I sadly can't talk about them all in as much detail as I'd like to. This is potentially the most beautiful caterpillar design I've seen. I absolutely love the colours, they really make her eyes pop. This guy's just so happy, look at that smile. This is another beautiful caterpillar design, but what caught my attention was the knockoff Buzz Lightyear. This design is so unique and well themed, and there's even a snowy mountain at the centre. I'm honestly a big fan of the giant pumpkin on the track. I know I haven't mentioned Speedy Gonzales wacky worms in this video, because personally I'm not a fan of them, and I think they're kind of boring. However, this is the exception. Rollercoaster with one L, which was apparently a typo, but the park seemed to have stuck with the spelling, and honestly, I have so much respect for that. I love that they've just painted over the mouse's face in purple as well. This is a personal favourite of mine. I can't tell if I'm creeped out by this caterpillar or if I find it attractive. The world record for the tallest wacky worm built on top of an elevated concrete platform goes to this guy. I had to shout this one out because why does the tent say "Love to Erica"? Victory Transport is such a great name in my opinion, and I'm loving the propaganda. This one looks to be completely abandoned, which is a shame, but it looks so cool with all these plants growing out of it. It breaks my heart to see all of these wacky worms in such terrible shape. Like this poor guy has his antennae snapped off. Here's another one in bad shape. But this guy, he's doing the perfect expression for a YouTube thumbnail, don't you think? Anyway, enough of that. The moment you've all been waiting for, the wackiest wacky worm. Achtbahn at Speelpark Oilblivion in the Netherlands. I actually have no idea what the fellow on the front of the train is supposed to be, but if it is what I think it is, wow, I never expected to see this on a wacky worm, I must admit. Sadly, the Poo Train design has been lost to time as it closed in 2012. But the coaster itself does still exist and has since been operating in Fun Zone Ireland with a decently wacky caterpillar design. But the original is definitely a 10 on the wacky scale. No other wacky worm even comes close to how odd this one is, apart from the other one that I gave a 10. So these are the top 10 wackiest wacky worms. Let me know what you think. Do you know of any more wacky worms that aren't on the RCDB? And what is your favourite wacky worm design? For me, I still love the classic caterpillar, but I love seeing the more unique designs out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, but I've wanted to make this video for a while, and hopefully it's a style of content you enjoy because I really enjoy making videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in a video very soon.